The stars had never felt so cold. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the balcony of the orbital Citadel Vanguard, staring down at the bruised marble of Earth turning below. The wars had ended, but not because humanity had won. They had been spared by the alien empire that conquered them. The Zirathai Dominion. They were tall, silver-skinned beings with crystalline eyes and voices that resonated like music trapped in water. Their ships appeared in every human sky 3 years ago, blotting out the sun over major cities. Their message clear and calm: submit and survive. Elias had fought them once. He'd been a soldier in the orbital fleet that tried to defend Mars. But when the Zirathai bent the red planet's atmosphere into ribbons of fire, he realized resistance was futile. Now, as part of the Integration Initiative, he served as a liaison between the Human Provisional Government and the Dominion's High Council. Integration, though, came with a price. To secure peace, the Zirathai proposed union marriages, political pairings between human and Zirathai officials. The first wave of unions would bind the two species in public ceremony, symbolizing the merging of civilizations. Each match was chosen by algorithm, genetics, psychology, social rank. There was no room for preference. Elias's name came up first. He'd laughed at the irony. The same man who swore he'd die before bowing to an alien would now have to marry one. That morning, Chancellor Morgan gave him the official decree. Captain Rourke, the Zirathai High Council has chosen you as the first human groom in the treaty ceremony. You'll be wed to Lady Serathin of the Zirathai Prime. Elias stiffened. With respect, Chancellor, I didn't volunteer. No one did, Morgan replied grimly. But your record makes you ideal. You're disciplined, well-spoken, and most importantly, you know when to follow orders. Elias wanted to argue, but deep down he understood. Billions of lives depended on this peace. His marriage would be a symbol, not a romance. Still, the thought of pledging himself to an alien made bile rise in his throat. Do I get to meet her before the ceremony? He asked. Morgan gave a humorless smile. That's classified. Middle, the bride from the stars. The wedding took place aboard Solara Prime, a floating cathedral built from Zirathai crystal and human steel. Its corridors shimmered with blue light, alive with energy that pulsed like veins under glass. Diplomats, soldiers, and reporters filled the grand hall, their whispers bouncing off translucent walls. Elias stood alone at the altar, wearing a formal uniform designed jointly by both species, black with a silver sash that shimmered like starlight. His reflection in the crystalline floor looked ghostly. The ceremony began with a hum of harmonic tones. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Then, from the far end of the hall, the doors opened, and she entered, Lady Serathin. For a moment, Elias forgot to breathe. She was unlike any Zirathai he'd seen. Her skin was faintly iridescent, not the cold metallic silver of the others, but soft like moonlight on water. Her hair shimmered in long threads that shifted between violet and pale gold. Her eyes, twin galaxies luminous and alive, locked onto his. He expected revulsion. Instead there was warmth. Something almost human. She approached, her movements fluid and soundless, the hem of her ceremonial gown trailing faint ribbons of light. When she stopped before him, Elias saw that she was studying him too, with the same curious intensity. The officiant, a Zirathai elder whose voice carried like a song, began the ritual. Words in 2 languages wove together. Human vowels and alien harmonics. Then came the binding phrase. Do you, Elias Rourke of humanity, accept the bond of peace and unity with Serathin of Zirathai Prime? Elias swallowed hard. Every camera in the galaxy was watching. I do. And do you, Seraphim of Zirathai Prime, accept the bond of peace and unity with Elias Rourke of humanity? Her eyes flickered like light on water. I do. A ring of energy flared around their hands as they touched. It wasn't metal or glass but pure energy, a fusion band that synced their biofields. Elias felt it instantly, a tingling heat crawling up his arm, then a pulse that reached into his chest. His heart skipped. Their minds brushed for a second. He doesn't want this, her thought whispered across his consciousness. Neither do you, he replied instinctively. But beneath the surface he sensed something else, sorrow. Deep aching sorrow. Before he could process it, the light faded, and the ceremony was over. The hall erupted in applause. The galaxy now had its first interspecies couple. Transition. A marriage of symbols. Their quarters aboard the diplomatic vessel Horizon Dawn were lavish, a mixture of human architecture and Zirathai living structures. The walls responded to touch, shifting color and texture based on mood. Elias spent the first days avoiding Seraphim, drowning himself in reports and communications. But Seraphim wasn't what he expected. She didn't treat him like a subordinate or a pet project. Instead, she seemed curious. You stare at the stars as if you're angry at them, she said one night, approaching him on the observation deck. Old habits, he replied without looking away. I used to fight up there. And now you fight yourself. Her insight startled him. You read minds too? She smiled faintly. Only feelings. Our bonding link allows empathy to pass. I can sense when your heart is heavy. That's all the time then. They fell into a rhythm of quiet coexistence. She learned human customs. He learned bits of Zirathai language. She even found humor in his sarcasm, laughing in a bell-like tone that made the ship's air feel lighter. But every time he looked into her eyes, Elias sensed a secret, something she hid beneath layers of calm grace. One evening, while reviewing Dominion archives on a holoscreen, he discovered something chilling. The Zirathai's own planet, Elithra, was dying. The Empire's expansion wasn't conquest. It was survival. They needed a world to inhabit, and Earth, though fragile, was compatible. The marriages weren't about peace. They were about integration, biological assimilation. Elias confronted her that night. You knew, didn't you, that your people planned to colonize us from the inside out? Seraphim's expression didn't change, but her eyes glimmered with pain. It isn't how you think. Without this union, both our species die. Sounds convenient. Elias. She stepped closer, her voice trembling. The Dominion chose me because I am not like them. I opposed the invasion. This marriage was my punishment. He froze. Punishment. She nodded. My family are scientists, not warriors. I spoke against the war, and the council silenced me. They forced me into this union to make an example, to show that even dissenters could serve the Dominion's will. Elias felt the ground shift beneath his feet. He'd imagined her as a cold manipulator, not a victim. For the first time, he saw the fear behind her eyes, and the courage she used to hide it. I didn't ask for this either, he admitted quietly. But maybe we can make it mean something. That night, for the first time, they talked for hours. Not as enemies, not as diplomats, but as two lost souls caught between duty and desire. When dawn crept through the viewport, Elias realized he'd stopped thinking of her as alien. She was just Seraphim. Middle climax. The conspiracy months passed. The political front stabilized, but tensions simmered beneath. Human radicals called the Unbound began attacking Zirathai outposts, claiming that integration was just enslavement. The Dominion responded with strict curfews and military patrols. Elias and Seraphim became reluctant symbols of unity, appearing on broadcasts, giving speeches, pretending harmony. But behind the smiles, they uncovered evidence of a darker plan. Seraphim intercepted a transmission from the Zirathai High Council, plans for the renewal protocol. It was worse than Elias imagined. The Dominion intended to release nanites into Earth's atmosphere, rewriting human DNA to become compatible with Zirathai physiology. Their goal isn't alliance, Seraphim said grimly. It's transformation. A single hybrid species under their control. Elias clenched his fists. We have to stop it. But resistance meant treason. Death for both of them. That night, they stood again on the observation deck, the planet turning below like a wounded heart. Elias reached for her hand. The fusion band between them pulsed with heat. If we expose them, he said, we'll be hunted. Seraphim's eyes met his. Then we'll run. But not before giving your people the truth. He stared at her. This being he was once forced to marry, now the only person he trusted in the galaxy. You're not what I expected, he murmured. Her lips curved faintly. And you, Elias Rourke, are not as fragile as I feared. They leaned closer, drawn by something neither diplomacy nor duty could explain. When their foreheads touched, the fusion band glowed, merging their thoughts into one. He saw her memories, her home world drowning in storms, her defiance before the council, the loneliness of being different. She saw his, the battles, the losses, the endless guilt. And in that shared moment of vulnerability, something beautiful bloomed between them. Love. Ending. The choice beyond species. Together they hatched a plan. Seraphim used her access codes to transmit the renewal protocol data to human resistance leaders, while Elias secured a transport vessel hidden in the docking bay. But the Dominion was faster. Alarms blared through the corridors as guards surrounded them. Lady Seraphim, the commander intoned. You are charged with treason against the Dominion. Surrender peacefully. Elias stepped in front of her. You'll have to go through me. The commander hesitated. Human, do not interfere. Elias smirked. Guess I never learned how to obey. They fought their way through the docking bay, ducking plasma fire. Seraphim moved with impossible grace, her hands crackling with energy fields that deflected bolts of light. Elias covered her with a plasma rifle scavenged from a fallen guard. When they reached the ship, Seraphim was bleeding, not red but silvery luminescence seeping from her shoulder. Elias caught her before she fell. Stay with me, he said. I'm fine, she whispered weakly. Go. I'm not leaving you. With shaking hands, he activated the ship's engines and broke orbit. Explosions rippled behind them as Dominion vessels pursued. But before the jump drive could engage, Seraphim placed a trembling hand on his chest. Elias, listen. The fusion band, it can amplify energy. If I channel it through the ship's core, I can overload the pursuers. He realized what she meant. That'll kill you. It'll save you. No. He gripped her hand tightly. We do this together. Her eyes glimmered with tears, liquid light. When I saw you for the first time, I thought humans were fragile. But you're the strongest being I've ever known. Before he could answer, she kissed him, soft, radiant, filled with everything they never had time to say. Then she pulled away and touched the fusion band. Seraphim. The light engulfed her, flowing through the ship's conduits. A shockwave burst outward, disintegrating the pursuing vessels. The ship jolted violently, then drifted into silence. Elias stumbled toward the console, his chest burning where the band still glowed faintly. "Seraphine," he whispered. No response. Only starlight. He collapsed beside the core, tears blurring his vision. For a long time he stayed there, until the navigation computer beeped softly, signaling entry into hyperspace. A recorded message appeared on the console, her voice soft as a memory. "Elias, if you're hearing this, I'm gone. But I want you to know, our bond wasn't just political. It was proof that two hearts from two worlds could become one. Live, my love. And tell them we were real." The message ended, leaving only silence and the hum of the stars. Epilogue. The legacy of the Union. Months later, Elias reappeared in human space, bringing the evidence of the Dominion's plan. The exposure shattered the fragile alliance but also sparked revolution within the Zirathai themselves. Many who learned of Seraphine's sacrifice rose against the Council, demanding true unity, not assimilation. The Dominion eventually fell. A fragile federation of humans and reformed Zirathai replaced it, a new alliance built on truth, not fear. Elias became a legend, the human who married an alien to save two civilizations. But he never remarried. In his quarters aboard the rebuilt Vanguard, he kept a single crystal fragment, all that remained of her energy form. At night, it pulsed faintly with light, as if responding to his heartbeat. Sometimes, when he stared into the stars, he heard her voice in the stillness. "Breathe, Elias." And he did. Because somewhere across the cosmic silence, he knew she was still out there, part of the light that held the universe together.